streaming. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this glorious Thursday afternoon. It's the 25th of April here in Atlanta. It might be the 26th in other places that you're watching this, but great to see everyone. I have a topic that I've been talking about for the last couple weeks, in a sense. It started with my videos about computers how computers ruined rock music. And then yesterday's video, my What Makes a Song Great, was about At the Drive-In, which is if you haven't seen the video, you should definitely check it out because they are an absolutely killer band, were a killer band, especially back then. That particular record, I took the song One Arm Scissor from it, and we did a breakdown of What Makes a Song Great. And one of the things that I showed in isolating the tracks, for example, was that the guitars were not only out of tune with themselves, they were out of tune with each other. But once they were in the mix, you didn't notice it. It just didn't even matter at all. And I put up on the screen the Rolling Stones. Well, I could have put on the Beatles. I could have put on Led Zeppelin. There are so many songs from the greatest records of all time that are literally not only out of tune, out of time, everything. If you think of if you look at the tempo fluctuations in a song, even like "Smells Like Teen Spirit" by Nirvana, if just listen to it one time. Dave Grohl waits a split second longer to make the chorus have one impact, which would be impossible if it were gridded and played to a click, or even played to a click. Now, you can play to a click and just not fix it, and have people that are so good at playing to a click that you don't even realize it's not. Like I in my video on how computers ruin music, I used a clip of Matt Cameron playing the song Burden in My Hand. Now, he was definitely playing to a click. You can tell by the steadiness of the tempo throughout the song, but it was not quantized. It was not edited. First of all, it was done on tape before that. It's a record from the mid-90s, so there was no pro tooling. Beat Detective didn't happen until 2001. Auto-tune didn't happen until 1997, but really didn't get going until 1998 or so, 1999 with Cher. That's when you started hearing it, but you really started hearing it a few years later. That's not to say that people didn't fix things. People have always fixed things. They would take different takes. They would splice them together. Many times you would take the multi-track, and if you had a late beat, you might cut out a half an inch of the tape. But people wouldn't chance clipping a good performance by trying to punch in on something just to get a note. That's called rock and roll. It's not just rock and roll, because it was in every type of music. It was in any type of R&B. It was in Motown. It was in everything. It was in all styles of music, because everybody was limited by these same things. So I've been noticing this move towards, and this has been going on forever, what I call photoshopping of music. So, you listen to a song, so you have all these things to assist you beyond Pro Tools. Everybody plays, guitar players that play with distortion. Most of them use gates. Now, did Jimi Hendrix play with a gate? No. I realize this isn't 1969, okay? I realize it's today, but what is a gate? A gate is something that goes in and takes out the sound of the amp, the distortion, the whatever it might be, and makes it sound kind of artificial. Now, you may be going for that effect, and that's a kind of a cool thing. But for the most part, these gates, people just build these gates into their sounds. They take their Axe-FXs or their Kempers, typically Axe-FXs, and they go in there and they put a gate that's the first thing they have on in their chain. And they play with a lot of distortion, a lot of these rock bands. And they use the same amp profiles. You always use modded Marshalls. Whether it's a Friedman or an EVH or whatever, they're all modded Marshalls. They're just Marshalls, JCM 800s with an extra gain stage, okay? And then you get things, I mean, I just keep listening to the records. They have all these programmed drums. And if they're not programmed drums, they're drums that are just edited to where they are programmed drums. If you edit them down to the 16th note, that's where they are. By the way, before I forget my rant, you guys always know I do my discount here for anything in my store. You want to support the channel, get the Beato book, buy one of my new beer steins or whatever, and the discount code is RB425, today's date. That's how I support my channel. Okay, so I was listening to some stuff. I have a new assistant, Billy. He was playing me a record in the car yesterday, and it was a metal thing, and it was obviously programmed drums, and all the guitars were perfect, everything, and they all had these harmony guitar parts on and everything, and you could tell everything was done in 50 takes. And if it wasn't done in 50 takes, it sounds like it was done in 50 takes and then edited to death, right? So it's not just that they're playing a million takes, they're editing them. It's same thing on Instagram. Oh my God. Who goes on Instagram and doesn't put some type of a filter? Well, some people don't put filters, but that became a big thing. I know you'll see, no filters added, whatever. But everything is just hyper edited. It's all, some fake version of what it really is. Okay. And perfection is the enemy of good. If you think about it, these guys that, for example, think about all this amp modeling that's going on right now. These guys, everything is for convenience. Everything is to be perfect, is to create some type of unrealistic version of who you are. I come on here and I do live streams all the time, at least 3 live streams a week. And why do I do it? Well, there's a couple reasons. Number one, this is one of the only formats that you can actually react to the people on here. I see Joe Jeffries on here. Joe's on all the time. I've known Joe forever here. I know Joe through here. I've never met Joe, but I know a lot of the people that come in here and post, and I read their comments and I react to them. This is a reactive medium, which is really important. But you know what? I make mistakes on here. When I'm playing the guitar, I make a million mistakes. But I don't go and delete the things. I don't go and edit the live streams after. I leave them up with the mistakes. Who cares? If you're not making mistakes, you're not doing anything new. You're not improvising. So I was thinking about one of the reasons that people talk about rock music. Oh, it's dead, blah, blah, blah. I read this stuff in the comments, and you've heard me have these discussions about this too. Well, I thought about it. Who is a huge rock guitar player that is massively big, probably one of the biggest people the last 20 years? John Mayer. What is John Mayer great at? Improvising. John Mayer is a great improviser. Does John Mayer go out and play with backing tracks? No. Hell no. Why? Because he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to play with backing tracks. He can make every night different. Why do people like Fish? Why do they go follow them? Why do they follow the Grateful Dead? Why do they follow Government Mule? Why do they follow jam bands? Because they do different things every night. You think if Jimi Hendrix was playing the same solo, you think he played the same solo to Hey Joe every time? Of course not. He didn't. I did this video a few weeks ago. I don't know, don't work out your solos. But it occurred to me that when you go out and see a band and everything is worked out and they're playing the backing tracks, which most bands do. What's up, DJ Green Arrow? You can't vary from the songs. You can't get any energy going, and you can't make the night special for the audience. Not only that, you can't react to the audience. I'm reacting to the audience. When I see DJ Green Arrow come on here, I talk to him. Why? Because I see him all the time. We're friends. We're friends through here. And we talk. Joe Jeffries says Warren Haynes is rock. These guys get on there and they try and make a connection with the audience every night. That's one of the most important things. That's what jazz musicians attempt to do. Now, many of them don't succeed to make a connection because they connect with each other on stage without actually connecting with the audience, which is maybe why a lot of people don't like jazz. I love jazz. But improvising. Angus Young didn't play the same solos. Yeah, he might have quoted a couple of the licks in Back in Black, but not really. He played different solos every night. Okay, if you're playing Hotel California, play the same solo. If you're playing a worked out part, fine. But if you're playing long solos, you got to improvise. You think Terry Kath was worked out 25 or 6-4? No way. If they have mistakes in them, they're not worked out. And you can just tell when Joe Bonamassa goes for a lick and just keeps playing it and playing it and playing it, well, he's definitely not playing to a backing track, right? He's doing it because he gets a sense from the audience that that's what the song needs at that moment. I mean, that is really what we're talking about here. Okay? That's improvising. Improvising is so important. This is the one thing when people ask me what my book is about, it's about music theory and improvisation, okay? I just saw a great comment. Thank you to everybody who's hitting Super Chat here. Really appreciate that. Stephen says, or Steven, I guess it would be. Steven, what if you had to play the exactly the same notes every night? It's like punching a clock. Well, who needs that crap? Frank Zappa. Exactly. Who needs that? Nobody wants to hear that. They don't want to hear that. It's, they instinctively know when they're part of a show that is special. They want to hear different songs each night. They want you to connect with them. They want you to look at them. So when I see things like no amps on stage with guitar bands or no gear at all with bands on stage except for a drum set, that looks weird, okay? First of all, I always say, you want to move people, you got to move air. Moving air is not just about air coming out of speakers, it's about moving your body. You got to move to your music. Okay? And if you can't move to your music, it ain't got no backbeat. Now, I like playing in odd time signatures as much as any people do. I was listening to this UK song earlier, In the Dead of Night. I was playing it for my new assistant, Billy, because he had never heard it. He was talking about Alan Holdsworth, and I said, you know the band UK, they put out this record in the late 70s called In the Dead of Night. And he said, no. So I played it for him, and I played that song, which is in 7. It's in 7. You know what it's got, though? Even though it's in 7, great thing about 7 is that it has a consistent pulse, okay? So you got to connect with people by looking at them on stage. You got to have gear on stage where you're moving air, and you got to move your body to the music. That is the only way to connect with human beings. You know that babies only take statistical analysis from their parents of speaking. This is how they learn to speak. They're born with algorithms in their brain to learn how to speak, but you have to look at them. And if you look at a little baby, I know I've got little kids. What do babies do when you're talking to them? They look at your mouth. Why do they look at your mouth? Look at your mouth, they look at your eyes. Because they're starting to take statistical analysis of what you're saying. They're trying to break apart those phonemes. They're hearing them, and they're trying to understand, right? It's called the social brain that you're engaging. It's a great TED Talk about it by a woman named Patricia Kuhl called The Linguistic Genius of Babies. Well, this goes for adults too. Adults tend to listen to you. People tend to listen to you when you look them in the eyes, right? When you want to communicate a point, when you want to make someone realize that you're talking to them, you look at them in their eyes. Now, I'm looking straight ahead because my camera's up here and I'm reading the comments here. But I really believe that this hyper fake over engineering of music is what's killing it. So I play At the Drive-In. A couple of people kind of picked up on it, that was part of my theme. And if you guys don't know At the Drive-In, if you know Mars Volta, it's the couple of the guys were the predecessors of them. Omar and Cedric were the predecessor. They were in both bands. And they split into the Mars Volta and Sparta. But this track that I did, One Arm Scissor, is so visceral. It's so raw. And when I say the guitar is out of tune, they do this harmonic, this D harmonic at the 5th fret, D major chord, and then they bend it with above the nut. They bend the thing, and the guitar is out of tune anyways. It's out of tune anyways, but they're out of tune together. And once you put the bass and drums in, nobody notices that they're out of tune. It's like, who cares? My God, when I solo half these tracks and what makes this song great, any of the stuff that I played, did you hear the one I did on the Doors? The orchestra's out of tune. Does anyone care about that? You know, I remember my brother saying, he was like, man, I never noticed that the strings were out of tune on that. And, you know, listen to the Beatles, plenty of the songs where the stuff is it's just not even close. The Stones, come on. One of my favorite Stones songs of all time is the song Happy. Keith Richards sings it, and Mick comes in on the chorus, and it's so good. It's on Exile on Main Street. And my kids love that song. It makes them happy, but the guitars are totally out of tune. But man, do they sound good. Like, it doesn't matter. And forget about sense. I know that people went in and fixed stuff. That stuff started happening in the 80s. But Jimmy Page, sloppy guitar, right? Jimmy Page look at Heartbreaker. Oh my God. What would people say if Jimmy Page's Heartbreaker, if somebody posted that on Instagram now? They wouldn't believe it. They'll be like, oh my God, you hear that guy Jimmy Page? Oh man, he's so sloppy. I can't believe he posted that. I mean, come on. So it's the gating. It's the quantizing. It's the million takes. You know, let some amp buzz happen. Okay? That's natural. That's human. Now, I'm not against I'm not against innovations or new things. I have my Helix stomp pedal right here. You know why I have that? So when I do these shows here, people aren't saying, it's not distracting to hear people saying, oh, you're clipping the mic, you're clipping the mic, you're clipping the mic. It's like, shut up. I don't want to hear that. So this is my thing so that people don't have to be interrupted in here by nonsense like that. Okay? And it's a perfectly good use of that, is to demonstrate things. But if I'm going to put something down and make a record of it, meaning a, you know, where I am at this moment in time, that's what a record is, right? It's making an impression of where you are at this moment in time. I don't want to be distracted by things. I want to hear realness. The thing I got on about the quantizing on my video about it ruining rock, I admit it was really the producers that were trying to make as much money as possible, and the A&R guys glad-handing each other, giving them the band after band after band. They were churning them out as fast as they could. You know, records used to take the great records. The Metallica Black Album took 1.5 years. Yeah, there's 1 million edits in it, right? The Peter Gabriel's So took 1 year. Joshua Tree took 1 year. Tusk by Fleetwood Mac took 5 years, or Rumors took 1 year. I mean, yeah, you can find examples of things that didn't take long. The Beatles made 13 records in 8 years, okay? But they were in the studio all the time. They basically had to quit touring so they could keep making records. And they spent every day in the studio making records like it was a job. And they would do 26 takes of things and take the best one. Yeah, and then they would do things like, hey, I like this one, the on Strawberry Fields. I like the beginning of this one, and I like the orchestration of this one. And George Martin's like, well, they're in 2 different keys. Well, we'll slow down the tape on this, we'll speed this one up, and we'll just blend them together. So, you know, that is using ingenuity. Anyways, it's okay if you go for things and you don't quite get them. You know the saying, nothing ventured, nothing gained? That's the whole thing there, right? That's what that's all about. If you're not trying something new, you're not trying. And I know, like J Barty Party here says, Mutt Lange definitely got carried away with the result, but the results speak for themselves. A sonic feast for the ear. Mutt Lange it's interesting. But Mutt Lange's best record to me is Back in Black, which actually the tempo goes all over the place, right? But his contribution to that, to me, in addition to the arrangement things, is a lot of the 4 on the floor stuff and really the is the change of tempos. I use that example where they start out 91 to 93 in the verse and they hit 95 in the chorus. And the second verse is down to 92 BPMs. Second chorus is at 95. The solo's at 93. What does that mean? That means it wasn't played to a click. Why do I like shoegazer bands? I like shoegazer bands because there's the element of chance in their music. They don't know what's going to happen with those pedals. They're not exact, okay? Every time somebody pulls up these Axe Effects presets with a Friedman amplifier and everything, it's like everybody's playing with the same sounds. They're playing with the same sounds. They are. They got the same long delays on with their solos. They have the same modded Marshall distortion. Not that long ago, people used to actually be concerned about their own individual sound. John Mayer, Joe Bonamassa. Go back a little further. Eric Johnson. Go back a little further. David Gilmour. These people took time. Eddie Van Halen. They took time to develop their own sound. Okay? So that they didn't sound like anyone else. When you heard him, he's like, I know who that is. Oh, that's Eddie Van Halen. When I heard Andy Summers, Brian May, I knew it was them. There's no sound like Brian May's guitar sound on his solos. You just hear it. You just know it. Santana, you hear that boogie, Larry Carlton, these people. When I hear Steve Lukather, I know it's them. It's not just what they play, it's their sound also. And people used to do these amazing takes. Listen to Steve Lukather on any of these things he played background, He's improvising that solo to Roxanne. That's all improvised. It's obvious. Listen to the end solo. That was like one take. Unbelievable. Michael Landau. These people are just genius players. When I see my friend Phil X play and he's improvising, it's just out of control. I love it. I love Phil X when he's jamming. You guys know Phil. He's incredible. He is incredible. So that's what I have to say on this. Stop fixing everything. I'm telling you that people actually, like when I hear some of these metal records, I literally just stop listening because when something is so precise, there's nothing to grab your attention at all. There isn't. Like programming drum parts that are unplayable by drums. Come on. What is that? What is the double kick things and the tom fills that like no human would play? I mean, yeah, Mark Giuliano could play it and Vinnie Colaiuta could play it. They could. Vinnie could play it with one pedal, right? Yeah, there's a few people that can play them, but who would want to play that? What did when they made the Black Album, what did they have Lars do? What did Bob Rock have him do? Doom, da, doom. Da, dun, right? Dun, 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 digga, 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 ba, boom, da, ba, boom, ba. Let it be. To quote one of my favorite artists of all time. Perfection is the enemy of the good. Remember. That's all I have to say. If you want to support my channel, subscribe here. You can support it by becoming a member of the Beato Club, by buying my Beato book. Everything's on sale in my store. Peter Smart, love you, Peter. The discount code is RB425, today's date. Please help support this channel. And I'm not going to stop on this. I'm not going to harp on it too much more, but I think that this is important to talk about. Because I believe that people, if they get away from this perfection, this obsession with perfection, the photoshopping of music, then people will connect with them. I mean, come on, look at how many people go see John Mayer and Joe Bonamassa and Fish. Why aren't they going to see all these other bands that have all these perfect records? Why? Because they're boring. They're boring to watch. They're boring to listen to. And perfection makes you not pay attention. There you go. You guys are the best. The Instagram filter of music. I love it. Thank you so much for being part of this. Tell your friends to subscribe. And thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. This is... I've got a new video coming out tomorrow with my good friend Christian Henson from Spitfire Audio. I interviewed Christian in England, and you guys should subscribe to his channel. He's got a great channel. Thank you.